Hi Marines, I'm Andrea. So I wanted to do a video about PTSD and why PT is a management tool for that. We've talked all about specific exercises and nutrition and all this, but the whole core of this group is to use PT as a management tool for PTSD symptoms. And I want to explain why that is, what the connection actually is. So if you take a traumatic scenario, and you're in it, you're reacting to it, you're not really thinking, you're just sort of reacting to things. There's a fight or flight response in your body. You're either going to fight or you're going to run. And it's sort of an automatic thing, right? Well, okay, the threat is over. This is what happens, ready? A sigh, a deep breath. And you'll witness that in movie theaters when like the stressful scenario's over, the whole theater like collectively breathes. When you're playing a video game, the stressor is over, you sort of reset yourself. Now, you've been reset, but here's the deal. If you never thought about that traumatic scenario ever again, you may be okay. You know, it may have stressed you out to the point that things are worn out, you're fatigued or whatever. But long term, it might not be such a big deal. But your mind has a huge part to play in PTSD. Because these memories of the trauma get lodged in there. I have memories of being about 1.5 years old. And each time when I connected the 3 memories that I have from super young, they were all slightly traumatic. It sort of burns itself in your brain. So going through the trauma really etches itself into your brain. So it becomes a memory, and a deep one at that. So what happens is when you go through these memories, your mind, research has shown, your mind does not know the difference between reality and a thought. It thinks it's going through it. That's why the movie is real. That's why video games are real. And then you react physically to it with a sigh because your mind thinks it just went through that. So what happens is you take these memories from your traumatic event and you keep replaying it. Well, your mind, by replaying it, you keep reliving it. Now, if you've gone through counseling, you are probably told this sort of thing. The concept is that it probably won't go away. The memories won't go away. And some of us don't want them to, because they're sort of our way of paying respects to the people that we lost in those scenarios, in those traumatic events, and sort of honoring their memory. And part of us, it makes us, it sort of defines you at a certain point, and it makes you who you are, and you're afraid to let go of that. You don't want to let go of that. Okay, you've got to come to terms, number one, that it's going to stick around, but then what do we do about it? You can't just keep thinking about it and reliving it. This is the part where I've probably IM'd you if I saw you on the vets group or reached out to you. This is the part of, how this group actually started with Richard Kent. And I reached out to him and we talked, and the inspiration just kept kind of going. And so here we are. So it's his fault. I bug you every day. But the idea is we are, you went through it. You're going to remember it for a long time. And so now what do we do about it? If your counselors haven't given you tools to get through it, now that's why we're here. So if your mind doesn't understand that it's not real, we have to have healthy self-talk, number one. And when you're going through it, if you go through the entire thought, that's sort of, sometimes you can't help that. But sometimes you can stop it in the middle and just say like, okay, I'm not going to think about this because it stresses me out. It says, take the control back, right? And then you need to have healthy self-talk and tell yourself, okay, it was just a thought. It wasn't real. Some people will journal this. They'll journal the thought. They'll get it out of their head. They'll write it down. And then, but there has to be a conversation. There has to be 2 parts of it. The thought gets written down, but then the counter thought gets written down. You pull out of that thought and you come back to reality. Okay, this is not real. This was just a thought. It's already happened. I've lived through it. I'm thankful for that. Thankfulness is a big part of how I get through things. I have to be thankful. I have to force myself to be thankful. So healthy self-talk, number one. There are breathing exercises. There's something called square breathing that I always recommend. You breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, you exhale for 5 seconds, and you hold it for 5 seconds. And you just go through this repetition. This mimics that sigh in the movie theater and in the video game and all this stuff. That's what it's mimicking. It's trying to reset your central nervous system. Threat is gone. Reset. So, healthy self-talk, breathing exercises. There's heat that you can use. Heat also resets your central nervous system. When I say reset your central nervous system, this is the reactive portion that you can't control. It's not like I can say, blink your eyes, and then I blink it. I can't say, okay, calm down, and you're instantly calm. You have to trigger your central nervous system. It was triggered reactively the first time. We sort of have to trigger it reactively to counter it. So breathing does that. Heat does that. You can't be stressed out in a hot tub. That's why people have hot tubs for stress. Put a hot towel around your neck. Get in a hot bathtub. Use a hot tub or whatever. But the heat does something with that. All of these things will also try and help to induce better sleep. If you can eliminate the threat and the anxiety, you will have deeper sleep for longer and hopefully also get REM cycles in there, so more quality sleep too. So self-talk, breathing, heat, sleep. These things are your tools. These aren't always going to work because they're not always accessible and we're not always willing to do them. Sometimes we just want to wallow around in our own self-pity. Sometimes that's okay. But if you find it sort of taking control of your life and your activities and impairing you from living your life in a quality way, well, now it's time you need to have a self-intervention or reach out to somebody who can intervene. That's why we're here. Okay, so now we're up to PT. When you have a reaction to all of these sorts of things, your adrenal glands they just seethe adrenaline. It's a chemical. It gets us, it's like spark plugs just keep firing, right? It's like an overabundance when you have this constant anxiety. You're bombarding your system with this adrenaline. You have to metabolize that stuff in order to get rid of it. It's sort of like, you have a chemical and you have to rinse it out of your body. You can't just say, okay, poof, the chemical's gone. You have to use it up first. So that's where your adrenaline comes in. And if you're constantly bombarding yourself with anxiety, you're constantly going to be seething adrenaline. No wonder you can't relax. Okay, put those other tools into play. The other thing that you can do is exercise. Well, now, you know what, adrenal glands? I'm going to fucking exhaust you whether you like it or not. Now you can't seethe any more adrenaline into my system without my permission for at least a couple hours. It gives you a break. It exhausts your adrenal glands, and they get it all out of their system for the exercising portion. And now you're done. Now you can move on. You have a reprieve where your body can reset. Your body's too tired now to be reactive to the thoughts. Even if you have them, you will have less adrenaline running through your body because they have to recharge themselves as well. Another thing that you can do, if you can't go out and PT, right? You can't just run off to the gym every second. So I'm going to end with this. The other thing you can do are isometric exercises. Isometrics are muscle contraction without joint movement. This means when I go up here, I'm not flexing. I can flex it though, and notice there wasn't joint movement in my elbow, my shoulder. I'm still flexing the muscle, but there's no joint movement. I can do this sitting down. I can start at my toes and flex my feet, flex my arches. Then I can bring my feet up like this and flex them. Hold it for like 20, 30 seconds. Then I can point my toes downward, flex them for 20, 30 seconds. What I'm doing is contracting my muscles, using up its energy, and exhausting the muscles so that they are too tired to react. I'm trying to physically exhaust myself in my office chair. Same thing as PT, similar thing as PT. You're just trying to exhaust yourself. These are the methods. This is why we promote PT as a management tool. It's a management tool. It's not the cure-all. You still need counseling. If you're having counseling, you still probably need to continue going. Exercise doesn't cure everything. You still need to reach out to people, implement these tools. Hope this helps.